Jackals TV is back on the air, and the Jackals today will be taking on the Vipers. This is a game from February 2nd. The Jackals haven't played the Vipers since the very first game of the season, a 5-4 loss to the Vipers on the first weekend of the season back in September. And they are now returning back to the D Division and will be taking on the Vipers here this week after 2 losses in their last 2 games in this division against the Shower Hogs and the Blades. The Jackals are down 3 players in today's game. Jason, Darwin, and John all out of action here today. Troy is filling in as a spare to get up to the full lineup of 3 lines. So let's head to the first period and see how they did. We're going to start this one off with the Vipers on the attack. This player is moving around behind the net. Then he throws that puck back out to the point, and the pointman is going to pick it up with the backhand, mishandle it, dump it into Chris Weeger's pads, and that's going to go forward to Chris Marshall, who's going to outweight Lloyd, Superman in net, slide it through the 5-hole, and the Jackals have a quick 1-0 lead in this game. Now Chris is going to get involved at the defensive end of the ice. Here we see this point shot. He's going to reach his hand out and block that with the palm of his hand. It bounces off to the side to the Viper players who play give and go with it for a shot on net. The puck falls in the crease, and then Chris comes in, knocks that player down to take away the scoring opportunity, and that's going to be a penalty though for Chris. So Vipers to the power play, working around. They're going to throw that puck towards the net. Gary knocks it down, then wins the race for the loose puck, dumps it down the ice, and there you see Chris Marshall stepping out of the penalty box, racing over to pick that loose puck up, taking it towards the net, fans on it, but then picks up the rebound on the backhand, deposits it into the empty net, and it's 2-0 for the Jackals early in this game, looking like they might run away with this one. Jackals attack continues, looking to make it 3-0. Bob passes that puck to Daryl. He loses it for a bit there, comes back to Bob, who chops it up to Daryl, who then throws it back up front to Bob. He shovels it on net. It hits a defenseman in the feet, and then it's just laying there in the crease with Lloyd slid off past the net. Somehow that puck stays out. The period's going to wind down with Chris Marshall looking for the hat trick. He's going to pick up this giveaway off the wall, walk in all alone, looking for space between the goalie's legs, but it gets turned off to the side. So it's 2-0 heading to the second period. Vipers are going to be looking to get back in this one. They pass that puck across, wide open in front, but Trevor gobbles that one up. So back together there, and Jackals looking for that third goal. David is going to pick this up right up in front. You saw how much space he had there on the blocker side, but he ends up hitting the goaltender in the leg and going harmlessly to the corner. So Vipers coming back the other way. It's a 3-on-3 opportunity, and somehow that player gets left alone on the far side, open. He picks up the pass and puts it over Trevor's glove, and the Vipers have cut this lead in half. And the Vipers come looking for more. There's a stretch pass that gets bumped back to this player coming down the left side, and as he's trying to go around Gary gets a stick into his feet. That results in a tripping penalty, so Vipers to the power play, and as they're looking to set up, they're going to bounce this puck off the wall to nobody. Rob jumps on it, pushes the puck up to Aaron, who's going to race past the defender, turn this into a breakaway, go to the backhand, tries to get it up and over Lloyd, doesn't work, and then he's going to get a second crack at it. Lloyd awkwardly goes down, the defender's down on the ice, and somehow that puck stays out, so the power play continues, but Vipers are once again going to turn this over, and it's going to turn into another opportunity as Daryl's going to race onto that, go in for another breakaway, goes to the backhand, has space there, but Superman gets the toe out and makes the save. So a disastrous power play for the Vipers. They don't score, and they almost give up 2, but they do survive. Penalty's over, and now they're going to come back 5-on-5 here. A nice little play around the defender, sliding it out front, and it gets slid home. So they don't score on the power play, but they do shortly after, and it's 2-2. And they keep coming as this puck is going to get chopped to the middle of the ice. That player's going to pick it up with speed, knock Bruce's stick out of his hand, and go down on the breakaway. But this time Trevor makes the big save before Jer swats it out to center. Jackals looking to regain the lead. Here comes Daryl in on the right side. He's going to drop that back to Lloyd, walks in alone, has some space low on the glove side, but ends up missing the net. He does get the puck passed right back to him, though, and he tries to jam it in on the side of the net, but the goalie gets down and covers it up. Up to this point, the majority of the chances have been for the Jackals, but the Vipers are starting to turn this game around. Here they come again, 2-on-2. This player holds up, and that player slips behind Chris Marshall, who was covering for a fallen Bruce at the far blue line, but Trevor once again stands tall and keeps this 2-2. Here we see the Chris connection hook up again. Chris Marshall passes it out to Chris Weeger, who gets the shot through the defender, but not the goaltender. Here's the puck deep in the Viper zone, and they're going to find this player somehow with a pass right out to the middle, who's on a breakaway after he'd slipped in behind Bob, who was pinching. And now all of a sudden it's 3-2 for the Vipers. The Jackals have totally lost their 2-goal lead they had early in this game. Now we see Aaron. He's going to fire this puck up to Rob, who's going to go hard around that defender, cut in. Looks like he's got a chance there, but the goalie makes a save with Chris Stuhar coming in late looking for the rebound. Here come the Vipers again, 3-on-2, but Darryl does a nice back check to make it a 3-on-3, picks up the high guy, but that player just holds up at the top of the circle and fires it towards the net, and somehow it finds its way past Trevor. Looks like he's talking with David there, like maybe there was a screen, and just as the period's ending there with just 15 seconds left, we move to the third, and it's now 4-2 for the Vipers. And they start the period as strong as they ended. Here's a player on the far post who gets the puck to come across at him, but somehow Trevor gets across and prevents that from going in, keeping it 4-2. But Vipers are still on the attack. Here they come again. Again, the Jackals have enough defenders back, but somehow those players keep getting in behind them, beating them one-on-one, and this time after they do, that gets put up over Trevor's shoulder, and now it's 5-2 for the Vipers. And the Jackals are going to put themselves in more trouble. It happens just off screen, but you can see Rob start to turn, move his butt towards that player, rubs him out, gets an interference penalty. So to the penalty kill, the Jackals go. But just like earlier in the game, the Vipers give up a golden scoring chance to the Jackals shorthanded. And that looks very similar to Chris Marshall's goal at the very beginning of the game, but this time the goaltender makes the save on Aaron. So power play continues. The Vipers go back in the other direction, slide this to the player coming through the middle, and that ends up on the player's stick off to the side of the net. He just sweeps it into the net. And all of a sudden, it is now 6-2 for the Vipers as they're running away with this one here in the third period. Jackals looking to come back. There's a one draw that goes back to Chris Weegert. He puts that towards the net. Chris Marshall was there looking for a rebound, but no go. 2-on-1 now. Here's Chris Marshall. He's got Bob with him, but he likes to shoot. There's always some space down low on that goaltender, but this time Lloyd does make the save and kick it out to the corner. Chris Marshall's going to continue to look for the hat trick. Here, Jer sets him up. It's 2-on-1 again. This time, Chris does shoot again. He tries to go to the far side this time, but it ends up going wide. So here's a face-off down in the Jackals zone. It's going to get kept in at the point, thrown towards the net, and that's going to bounce out right to an unchecked player in front, but luckily for the Jackals, he fires that wide. Here's a pickup puck at center. That's going to get put over to Chris Weegert. He's got Jer over there. He slides it back across to Jer. Can't get his stick on it to tap it into the empty net. So here comes Chris Weegert again, not giving up. He's going to push that over to Bob, who's going to take the slap shot just as Chris Weeger's looking for the tip. It gets kept in by David, and he's going to throw that back out to Bob again, who's going to get tangled up a bit. But once he comes around with it, he's eventually going to throw this puck out in front of the net, and it's going to slide right through Jer's legs. The game is winding down, but the Jackals are still trying. Here comes a pass over to Gary. Throws it towards the net where there's a bunch of traffic that can't find it. And as Gary's trying to hustle back, he ends up getting tripped up right there by that Vipers player. That's going to negate this opportunity for the Vipers and send the Jackals to the power play. So off the faceoff, Bob's going to put it over to Chris Stuhar. Waits, throws it on net, and Rob was there looking for a rebound, but it doesn't pop out to him. So power play continues. Shot up high from Gary Pabla that gets caught in the shoulder, and then he has a wraparound chance, and then Aaron picks that up too, and that ends up to somehow not go in the net. So no more goals for the Jackals, and this game ends 6-2 for the Vipers. Definitely a disappointing outcome given they started this game up 2-0. As we look at the stats for today's game, here you see Chris Marshall, strong outing, 2 goals on 7 shots here tonight. So let's see what that does to the overall statistics on the season. You see Chris now is up there with 5 goals, moving his way up the board. Chris Weegert also with his assist today will move into the double digits with 10 points on the season. So Jackals on a bit of a losing streak since returning to the D division. Not a lot of wins, especially when you factor in the losses in the C division as late for the Jackals. So they're going to have to find a way to turn this around. The next game is against the Rare Rockets, a team that's at the bottom of the standings in the D division. So maybe that will be the tonic that the Jackals need to get back into the win column. We'll see you then.